Hello, Benjis. Welcome to BingeWorthy, part of the Geekish Network. We are a podcast that lets you know if you should binge a show or not. So we binge a show to let you know if you have to or not. I'm your host, Chuck, and with me I have two great co-hosts. I say what's up to the people, Rakai.
Hello, Governor.
Say what's up to the people, Centel.
Who's your favorite artist?
Oh,
Magic, magic.
Yo, what's cracking, man?
yeah. So today, if y'all didn't know, we binge watch Swarm. And for you all that didn't know, I actually binge watched this show with Centel on his channel. Tell them where they can see it at, Centel.
Hey, man, check out the Cintel channel, just YouTube / at Cintel. Simple.
Yes, I binge watched it with him. We did a reaction watch to the show. And we're gonna talk about if you should binge this show or not. First things first, guys. We got to go into the ratings. Hey Rodney, what did everybody rate the show? Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Hold on. Let me do the math on that. Hold on. I got to do the math. Let me do the math, guys. Bear with me.
It's gonna come out to a full meal.
Yeah.
Yep. Full meal. Yep. Oh, Lord. Okay. So
That's good because I want to be swayed. That's good.
Centel gave it a binge worthy, and Rakai gave it a mini meal. Let's go into this. What did y'all think when y'all first heard the word swarm and Donald Glover was deciding to do another show? He got his $1 billion from Amazon. They said, hey, you carte blanche, make whatever you want. And the first thing we see come out after Guava Island is Swarm. What were your first thoughts when you heard of Swarm? What did you think it was going to be like?
Oh, I'll go. I had no idea, honestly. I didn't even know Swarm was on the menu. Only thing I heard was that there was a project that Malia Obama was working on with Donald Glover. That was the only thing I heard. And at the time, I think it was called like Hive. It wasn't even called Swarm at the time. I think they were calling it something else. And I had no idea what it was about, but Donald has got so much good faith in me from the Atlanta series. There's not too much that he can put on my plate and me not at least try. Yeah. So I was like, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I think I even told you, Chuck, I was like, yo, Swarm is getting like these crazy reviews. It's Donald. Donald don't really miss. You might not understand what he's hitting, but he won't really miss. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yes. In the genre Swarm, so far, Swarm is a satirical comedy horror, which is an interesting way to call it comedy horror. So I'm thinking Fargo. I'm thinking definitely the Coen brothers. Television series by Janine Neighbors, and she's popped up from time to time in my groups. And she said, I partner with Donald Glover. So he made a team, and he says it follows a show on a character named Dre, played by Dominique Fishback, a young woman whose obsession with a pop star takes a really dark turn. It debuted on Amazon Prime on March 17th, 2023. So it just debuted. They dropped the whole entire series. And I think they dropped it all at once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt as though they couldn't do it any other way. You had to drop the whole entire thing. You couldn't let people go week to week with this.
Yeah, you would have lost people. You probably would have lost people in the first episode.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the show has an array of characters in it. Dominic Fishback, her better half at the very beginning is her sister, played by Chloe Bailey.
Chloe, get your back banged out, Bailey.
It's
too soon. It's too soon for this. Okay, let me.
No, we haven't gotten there. We haven't gotten there yet. And then we had Billie Eilish make an appearance. We had Paris Michael Jackson making an appearance in the show. And yeah. And the show seems to be You know, based around this love obsession with the superstar that Dre has been in love with her whole entire life. And she some feels attached to the superstar, similar to a Beyonce or Nicki Minaj. Depending on whose camp you belong to, you blame the other camp. So all the barbs are like, oh, that's Beehive, blah, blah, blah. We are not like that. And all the beehives saying, oh, that's how barbs act. The Barbies act that way.
Mm.
And everybody that doesn't care for the barbs or the beehive are like, both of y'all are that way. Both of y'all are that way. So it follows Dre's obsession to follow this one singer who seems to be more Beyonce than Nicki Minaj. But I understand the bars need to defend themselves. I mean, the Beehive needs to defend itself. And it's known as the Swarm. It's her fan base name. And in the first episode, let's say if they did do this week to week, the first episode, if the first episode came out one week and the second episode came out another week, would you continue to watch it?
No. No.
You don't think you would?
No. Well, all right. So to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
this is not my thing
Uh-huh.
anyway.
Uh-huh.
So if it wasn't for this show, I wouldn't have watched this. I'd have been just fine with you telling me all about this and telling me this is excellent. You need to watch it. And then I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna watch it, and then not watch it.
Why would
Yeah.
you watch
So I mean, now that I have watched it, I'm glad I did. Won't go back for seconds. Not a glutton for punishment. However, I'm glad that I did because this was some. I was watching Wallow and Gilly today, and this is some nut ass shit right here. This is nut ass.
the Wallow and Gilly said it was nut ass?
Yeah, that's Gilly's talk. It's some nut ass. Listen, when I got done with this, I called my therapist. I was like, listen, I need another session. I need more than one a week. This ain't gonna get God. Oh my Lord.
After you watched it,
Yeah.
the first episode, did you feel like you wanted more?
Listen, had I not known who the producers were, and this is just a random doing this show, there's no way I would have made it past the first episode. There's probably no way. But because I know that Donald is going to offer a different type of storytelling, and I'm not disrespecting Janine Neighbors. It's just the star power is Donald. Let's just be clear. That's just what it is. And because I know that, Donald needs time, I give him the benefit of the doubt. And also I was watching with somebody who is a complete TV film nut as much as I am. So you kind of just fed off of each other. But if I was by myself, not knowing who the producers are, I wouldn't have made it past the first episode.
Yeah. I don't think I could have watched this in the dark by myself. The first episode and all the episodes ended hard too. Yeah. For those that haven't watched, this is a very bloody show.
Yes.
And you kind of think the main character is off the whole entire time. It's like watching Charlize Theron in Monster when she's in monster mode the whole entire time. And people trying to play into that monster or trying to be accepting of this monster. And just mind you in monster mode the whole entire time. And going into it, speaking of that, the look of the show. The show is standard on the same level as Atlanta, but I found out something really interesting about the show. They shot this on film.
Really?
Shot black people on film. We know how hard that is.
It's expensive. Whoo, that's expensive.
He shot this on film?
All of it was shot on film.
Well,
every scene.
7 of the episodes.
Right? 7 of them.
There's one. The episode 6 when you do the flashback is that's digital.
Is that digital? It's probably kind of that digital look to it.
Yeah.
Like, what, 6?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only 7 episodes, so yeah, that's episode 6. Okay.
Yeah.
The one where they get really surreal.
Yeah.
The first 48 hours episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite episode. Had me going to Google and Wikipedia. What the hell?
Yeah. How every episode started. The events in this are real.
and any inference or whatever to real people, that is intentional.
That is intentional. And
Well,
that
and even though it's based on the Beehive and Beyonce's fans
Mhm.
and the Barbs or whatever, they said that all these incidents are loosely taken from incidents that have happened to several artists. So they're not just pulling this out of thin air.
Yeah.
That's what made it crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about Donald Glover. There's a mix of yes, this happened, and there's a mix of no, this didn't, and then there's a mix of how are you going to interpret it? We saw him do that. Donald Glover do that with the
I'm not
the
going to
goof by
delineate.
the door.
Yeah, the goof by the door. Yeah.
Right. Where it seems very real, but it seems very, very real, very surreal, but not everything is 100% true. And not everything in this is true. And they purposely put that thing in the very front to throw you off because some of it is loosely based off of real events.
Yeah.
Some of it is based off of real events, and then some of it is based solely on hearsay.
Yeah.
But it's up to you to kind of figure out what's real and what isn't.
All right. So I know that we're going to jump ahead, and I know that you're about to do this, Chuck. But can we talk about episode 1? Because there was a point that we talked about offline.
Yes.
That we had differing opinions on, and it's even after you said that for some reason I don't want to let go of the point I had at first. So can we jump into episode 1?
Okay, let's talk about delicious.
What's up?
Let's talk about the cast of characters. Dominic Fishback is Andrea Dre Green, and she's who's obsessed with Nyjah, who is the Beyonce. Chloe Bailey's her sister, Marissa Riss Jackson. And then we have a guest, long list of characters. And we see Damson Idris as the lead, Marissa's boyfriend, who is giving her back shots when we meet him. And he's looking at Dre, who's watching it go on. And he's like, yeah, keep watching. You're going to be next over here. Then we have Rory Coughlin hop in as the man Dre meets at the club and goes home with. So we think.
Mm-hmm.
So now, Rory is related to Macaulay and the other one.
Yeah, Macaulay's baby brother.
Okay. Yeah.
Baby brother.
Okay.
So here it is, episode 1. We're gonna spoiler rich this, you all. So if you haven't watched the show, you want to watch it, you can spoiler rich it. In episode 1, Dre is supposed to sub in work for Marissa. So she works in the mall at a kiosk, a t-shirt kiosk. And apparently her boyfriend, Khaled, isn't Khaled?
Khalid, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Works at the mall too. So Dre watched Khalid give back shots to Marissa in their broken down apartment. And Marissa, then she comes in. When Dre comes into the work, she looks like a waddling duck, all torn up because she almost missed her.
He didn't work at the mall. He came by to buy Marissa a gift.
Yeah, he wanted to buy Marissa a gift.
He asked for Dre's help buying her a gift.
Yes. And Dre abandoned the kiosk that got robbed in the mall, which makes total sense for it to get robbed in the mall.
Got robbed, they spray painted it.
Like you went to go help this guy out. This guy went to go buy her a gift. And as he's buying her a gift, he tells her, say, hey, why don't you let me blow your back out too? Because I saw you watching. And I can help you out some.
Yeah, because the thing is that she's a virgin.
Yep.
And has never experienced any of that.
Yes.
Well, we assume she is.
We assume she's a virgin. All we know is Marissa says she is.
Marissa, who has the dream of becoming like a makeup artist
to the stars. Yep.
She got some type of little gig where she called in to work, or she had Dre cover for her, so she could go do like some E-list celebrities makeup or something like that.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And what ends up happening is Marissa, in the very opening scene, opens a new credit card The girl has no job, you guys. Opens a new credit card and buys Niger tickets. And I think each of those tickets were $1,200 each.
1,800 a piece.
1,800 apiece? Yeah, 1,800 apiece. The girl has no job. She's covering the job for her sister. And she has no way to pay it back, but it doesn't stop her from opening this new credit card in the mail to buy these tickets for her and her sister because they have such fond memories of being with Nigel when they were little girls. Because she's a world famous pop star. And what ends up happening is Marissa's kind of upset about it, right? She loses her job at the mall, whatnot. Like, how we gonna pay these bills? And she goes back home, and Marissa and Dre's like, "Hey, you may have lost your job, but I got these tickets on a credit card that I just opened up. Let's go do this." And Marissa's like, "What are you, a child, a teenager? We're above this. We're older than this. I'm about to let you know I'm moving to Atlanta, and I'm gonna move with my boyfriend."
Yeah.
And then that's when Trey says, "Hey, your boyfriend came by the job, was buying you a gift, and wanted to rub me out one. He ain't no good. He ain't shit." And then we go into the montage of Dre getting dressed,
So we see Marissa. What we see
Marissa getting the car.
Marissa get in the car. Her and Dre are arguing. She said, just whatever. She's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls off in the car.
Yep. And we had the montage of Dre putting lipstick on, getting made up, and going to the club and having sex with a random white guy in the club. Rory Copeland.
And then late at night or the next morning?
She wakes up and she sees she missed calls, she missed messages from her sister, and her sister supposedly had committed suicide because of a boyfriend.
But when she gets back home, she finds out when she left the house that Khalid was cheating on her. They got into it. He kicked her out.
Yep.
Came home and was so desperate to talk to Dre to make it all better. She put on Niger's album and committed suicide.
Yeah.
So we think.
Yes.
Which is also pulled from, allegedly, from real life, that someone named Marissa Jackson committed suicide to the Lemonade album when they found out that it was supposedly true that Jay-Z had cheated on Beyonce.
Now that was actually debunked.
It was debunked.
It was that was an urban legend.
It was an urban legend.
And they found out that was actually debunked.
That probably came out of the Beehive as a marketing point to sell more albums.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at that either too. But that was actually the story that inspired Janine to pitch to Donald Glover. Was that story?
Yeah.
Because Donald was like, "I want to make a horror film about an obsessed fan," and she was like, "I got just the story to get it kickstarted." And then she told the story of
the
legend.
Yeah. One thing we do know is Dre is not a reliable narrator
at all.
Not in the first episode. You think happened can happen but then when Marissa had her funeral, we think Dre and Marissa are sisters, like by blood. They act like sisters and whatnot. We find that Marissa also has a cut on her wrist, like a stab wound, like she cut herself. Mm-hmm. However, the cut is vertical and not
horizontal. Mm-hmm.
And we know that Dre kisses it and she says, "You don't have to kiss it every time you see it." So then we find out later on that it was Dre that made that blood happen.
No, that's assumed.
We assume that Dre made that blood happen. But there,
at the funeral, like you said, at the funeral, we find out that they're not really sisters the way that we thought, because when she comes into the funeral, two people, I don't know, whatever, ushers or whatever, come to her and say, "The family has requested that you leave. The family doesn't want you here."
Yeah. The family doesn't want you here. Yep. And then we see Dre go to Khalid's house. He didn't show up to the funeral because he's never seen a dead body before and he's scared. And he felt a certain type of way about it. And she makes a comment about Marissa. Then she makes a comment about Nija.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes and gets some food, try to get some food for them. And she hits him in the back of the head. What was it, like a trophy or something?
It was a Himalayan bath salt lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lava lamp.
Lava
Yeah.
lamp. And she continually hits him in the back of the head and continually hits him in the head and crushes his skull in. And the episode ends.
But it also ends with her in an interesting way because she's as soon as she gets done killing them, she goes straight to the fridge and starts eating pie.
Eating the pie, yeah.
Yeah. So
Pie.
Yeah, she like gorges herself, like in a real way. Like she still got blood all over her hands. Like she's just ripping food out the packages and just
junk food.
well, food plays a big part, huge part.
Mhm.
Because you see it in the pie, you see that she doesn't eat regular food. You see it when they're at the white girl camp and she like turns her face up at some of the natural food that they're eating with Paris. With Paris, when she took her to the Waffle House, she was picking the fruit out, to even having like the orgy full on, with the sound guy. Like food is a very big part of this show. And I don't know all the details as to the why, but it's heavily emphasized every single episode.
yeah. And it wasn't health, like you said, it wasn't anything healthy. It was all junk.
Yeah. Like in the first 48, they went to the apartment where she supposedly stayed at and they saw all the junk food and fast food around the apartment.
And the shea butter.
She had junk food all over the car.
Yo, that black, she saw that shea butter. She was like, "It's a black woman."
She said, "There's control."
Yeah, it's a black woman.
And the name of the episode, the first episode, is called Stung. And Stung, it kind of stung us when we saw that. Because we thought she was getting revenge for Marissa's death in the first episode.
Well, do you think she wasn't?
Yeah, I had no other reason not to believe it. Everything led to me. I was thinking, okay, she's blaming him for Marissa committing suicide.
Yeah. Because and that was and that was another crazy little detail where her phone was about dead when she plugged it up at Rory Culkin's house. What we saw, allegedly. So she plugged it in, she got, she had missed 100 messages from Marissa. She went ahead, she shot home, Marissa's dead. She holds her, she's dead. She calls the, the police, the ambulance, whatever, comes to get her. She's back at home moping, sulking, and then she finds Marissa's, as they're moving furniture out, because of course, Marissa was paying for everything. She finds Marissa's phone, allegedly, finds Marissa's phone plugged up in the corner of the closet.
Yes. No, it's in the hallway.
It's
in the hallway, right? It's in the hallway.
No, it was in the bedroom.
In the bedroom?
She laying on the bed, yeah. It was like over behind the bed, yeah. It was, but it was like down in the bottom and like in the very corner of the.
Yes.
It was plugged in the corner of the, which is a strange place. Like,
it was unlocked too.
It's unlocked and it had a really long cord on it. I don't know. It's a very weird place for it to be.
And
that was very weird. And then there's like this weird thing too, because like when she went to the club, like I think she went as Marissa.
Yes.
Because she can't afford the clothes. She can't afford the clothes because she doesn't have any money and she, was decked out. The second thing's kind of weird is like how she get in because she's broke. But then again, hot girls kind of can get in the club whenever they want. But the makeup was done in the way that Marissa does it, so it seems to me that that was our first clue that maybe she's trying to embody Marissa.
Yes.
Well, that's all right. So let's go ahead and jump into that then. Why is that such a big tell on the other point that came up on the last episode. Like, I don't want to jump to the last episode, but let's that hotel. Like, if you look at the way that Dre moved, the way that she acted, her entire demeanor before Marissa's death, the whole club scene didn't even make sense then, because it's almost like a schizophrenic. It's like she was a completely different person.
That's it.
Yes, it.
That's it. Even when she danced on the pole, and that's when she went to in the episode 2, honey.
Marissa's in that strip club. Yeah.
And the stripper in Fayetteville, Tennessee. She was really awkward dancing on the pole.
Yeah, she would only dance to Naja songs.
Mm-hmm.
She did some old. It wasn't even stripping what she was doing. It was like interpretive dance.
Truck driver lived and everything. She went out there again, and she was stripping on the pole. She was a stripper. Like, she embodied Marissa again.
Mm-hmm.
And could strip perfectly. It was like every time that after she was going to commit a felony, he can embody Marissa. And she was using Marissa's phone to talk to herself. And we knew that. So, like, the messages are saying, I don't know if I want to be here anymore, blah, 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 could have been Dre texting her as Marissa to make her feel better about it. That's one of the fan theories, is that Dre was texting herself about Marissa killing herself. And her parents knew that wasn't true. That's not our daughter. That is not our daughter.
I think I've seen Dominique Fishback in a couple other properties.
Mm-hmm.
And she was really good. She's a very capable actress. But her transformation into this role, from being like doe-eyed to I mean, it was almost like watching Schizophrenic. Like, it reminded me in a way of James McAvoy in Split. You know, like where he pulled that off and with all those different personalities so flawlessly. And she was like that, except it wasn't pronounced, because you would have had no idea that there were different psychic breaks or whatever there. It's almost like she slipped into another skin, and you really, unless you were looking for it, you would have had no idea.
Like one of the theories was when she went into the club and Nigel was there. We're not going to talk about what happened in that club, which is not a true story too.
It's an Lathan moment.
Right. This is you picked up on that clue when she left too, and she was like, and the dude sitting down was like, "Isn't that the girl from Love and Basketball?" I was like, "Oh, that was Sanaya Lathan." Okay, all right.
I denies it, Sanaya allegedly.
Like, nah, that happened.
But when she went into the club, she didn't go in as weak Dominique. She went in as Marissa. People don't care that she came in like a Marissa form.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I'm Marissa. We get into the VIP. The boldness and the embodiment she had was like, I'm channeling what my sister had growing up. And I think right before that scene, they had a flashback when they were kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was like their dream to always to be in Nigel's presence, because for whatever, God knows what reason, she thought that all she had to do was get close to Nigel, and Nigel and her and them, they were going to be best friends. She was going to invite us back to all the pool parties, and we just going to be together, kick it.
She wasn't just doing it for herself. She was doing it for Marissa too. And she was just playing the role of Marissa and herself.
Well, there's only two things that are stable in her world. One is Nija, and the other thing is Marissa. Those are the only two things that are stable and that show her love. Because based off of the backstory that we get later on about the relationship that she had with her grandmother, relationship that she had with her foster parents, and how everybody else thinks that she's weird, and her beating up the high school kids, the sleepover, she gets zero love everywhere she goes, everywhere except for two places. And one of them left. So she only disassociates. That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, disassociates. Yeah, she only disassociates when something traumatic happens to the things that mess up her stability. And when Marissa packed up that morning, that evening, was like, "Yo, I'm out," that was one of the two structures of her normalcy that buckled.
Yeah.
And then she immediately was like, you can't leave me, so I'm going to become you. And that's when she
But
hopped
here's
in
the
her
thing,
clothes
though,
and went to the club.
in watching that episode, like even when she said, you know, why are you doing this to me? If it wasn't for the whole scene where she goes to the club, like I could have taken that at face value. And
Yeah.
even with knowing that she is an unreliable storyteller.
Yeah.
Like when she went back to Houston and she met up with the chick that fired her and Marissa from the mall. And she's like, you know, where you been at? You know what I'm saying? And I always knew you was gonna do it. And then she told that fantabulous lie about, yeah, I'm hanging out, I'm doing Nigel's mom's makeup now, whatever. And she started crying. And it's like, oh girl was on her side at first, but then the way she started telling the story, she's looking at her like, in the hell? Like,
This
okay.
sounds fake.
Yeah, it sounds wild as hell.
Sounds like Marissa. Marissa wanted that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the story Marissa wanted to tell.
But you were right though about like if you didn't know the backstory that you know that if in hindsight it's obvious that she's trying to disassociate and become Marissa, but at the first run you're not supposed to know that. You're supposed to think that she's just going to the club and that's just what it is because you don't have all of the information. That's but as we'll talk about later, it's one of the reasons why I ranked it so high because it's a totally different show the second time you watch it. And I had to watch it twice. And I was like, holy shit, this is brilliant.
This is a whole different show.
Yeah.
And you know what? And that may be the difference because I only watched it once.
Yeah, most people didn't even get past
the
first episode. So
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I watched the whole
Like,
thing.
whoa.
I actually binged it. I watched the entire thing in one sit. But I was like, yeah, I don't think I can do this again.
I texted him on Sunday. I think I just came to GDC Game Developer Conference, and I'm still thinking about this damn show.
No, it absolutely does that to you. Like it messes with your head. Here's what I liken it to. It was Donald Glover pulled off a Sixth Sense type of TV show.
Yeah.
For me.
See that?
Yeah.
And it even blew me away even more when you told me about the fan theory and you know, not and Dre being an unreliable witness and going back and what everyone is saying really happened in the first episode, that took my mind a whole different place. So I was like, you know what? Because I knew she was unreliable as hell when she got the line in the last episode, when she was lying to the woman in the mall. I was like, I knew she was full of shit because she's, you know, fan is short for fanatic. She is on the deep end of fanatic. But to look at it after that girl started talking about the slumber party and then a couple other clues and stuff, the first one, I was like, damn it. Oh man, I didn't see that. You know,
It's crazy because
it's highly plausible.
Yeah. And she was going from state to state, and she's under the guise because nobody cares about Black women and women of color going missing. So when she was in Fayetteville, Tennessee, and she runs into Paris, and Paris is like, "Hey, yeah, my dad is quarter Black," and she's talking about Michael Jackson. She's like, I'm part Black, and she's like, "Where, bitch? Where? You white as shit."
Yeah.
Which that right there took me out. That right there is so funny.
Yo, Chuck had to tell me. I was like, I have no idea who that is, and he was like, "That's Paris." I was like, I still don't know talking about Paris Jackson. I was like, "It's still Michael Jackson's daughter." I was like, oh my goodness, yeah. It was well after the fact before it kind of even sunk in. And Chuck with her daddy being half is saying is true, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, this event, all this happened." And then we, like the detective, when we look at the board and you realize that Verbal Kent freestyled that entire story based off of him looking at the board, you're like, that entire story was a lie? None of that happened? He just freestyled it. And you're like, oh my God. And then you go back and you watch it again, you're like, what is true? You just don't know. Verbal gets you, you know? Yeah. And that's what Donald did with this show. Donald Glover turned his foot and started walking straight in there. And you're like, Are you kidding me? This is really what's going down.
He didn't do it at the end. He did it on episode 6.
Oh, episode 6.
Episode
When he turned his foot and started walking around, you're like,
yeah. He put himself in it. I'm working on this horror thing. He put himself in to let you know.
And then he put himself in to make it even more brilliant. Just when you think he get any more meta, he puts himself in the episode talking about the. I was like,
show. Yeah.
Yo, Donald.
There's a couple of
something bananas, dog.
Because I don't want to dive too deep in the show because I want people to really watch the show. Not just take us. Honey's the name of the episode. Taste is the name of the third one. Honey, she runs into strippers. She saves a stripper from her abusive boyfriend. And the stripper comes ride or die for her. Like, yo, we can go on the run. We could do this. I'm down. Thank you for saving my life. Then she kills that stripper.
Stop talking.
Stop talking.
Yeah.
She was
goes back in the club. And what did she do? Dance her ass off like a stripper.
Yeah.
Then
the other girls latch on to her.
Yeah. Well, she did that disassociation thing again. Because after she killed, she can't be herself. She has to be something else.
Everybody thinks she's turned into Marissa.
So, yeah, there we go again.
Marissa. Boom.
Yeah, that's who's on stage is that, yeah.
Marissa.
Yeah.
Getting them back shots.
Saw that and saw the strength of them getting them back shot. But hey, this is what it does. And it's so interesting because when she was feeding that guy all the junk food, she was trying to kill him.
That's the only one that seemed a little off. The story up until the bite scene, it just seemed kind of like a one-off for me. I couldn't figure.
I think it
would figure out the magic with the sound guy, right? Yeah.
I think that was the Move Next to the Door episode. That was the one where it was like it doesn't really fit in, or the Terry Perkins episode.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit here, but it makes sense. Here's this guy who's trying to do right, trying to eat right because eating right helped him get over his trauma, right? His girlfriend died, right? And it died because of poor eating habits and whatnot. So he improved his eating habits. And she was going to kill the other woman for making fun of Marissa and Nija, but I think more so on Nija. She stops herself from killing that woman. That woman got lucky. So he didn't have that jacket on. She was gonna be dead in the gym.
No, I didn't think it was like that. I thought it was at that point. Now she's deviating from the script. Like at first, she is seeking out people. Like even the whole being a stripper is just a ruse. It's just a guy. Because even when that dude came in, she asked him about his partner. Hey, where Frank at? Like she's specifically looking for him.
She knew. Yeah. Oh yeah. She was looking for the people, but she's looking for that girl, and
and when she found the girl in the fitness club, she was gonna take her out with the weight.
With the weight,
because
she saw that.
Yeah, and it's Marissa. Somebody, God spoke to her in her head. The devil spoke to her and said, "Follow dude in the jacket. That will get you closer to what you really want, is to get close to Nija. It's not kill the people that's taking her out. That was a good side mission, but now let's get back on mission."
Yes, I think that's the turning point for her. This is me and my way to get close to Nija again. Yeah. I
very Tyler Durden.
She put him in the freezer.
Yeah, with the cake.
Yeah, but it was just one of those things.
She locked him in there with his vice, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but she locked him in there. Just think about it, though. She didn't kill him.
She didn't kill
him. What I'm saying? I mean, it's like one of those bad, Austin Powers type deaths. I'm gonna lock you in here and and in 40 hours you should be dead. I mean,
freezer probably killing. A freezer would kill him.
Yeah, which is interesting how he showed up on the show, on the talk show later.
He survived. He's the one witness that survived. But
he didn't. Well, he took her in. He fed her. He showed her attention. I think as long as you don't knock them 2 pillars down, any one of them 2 pillars, I think you'll be all right.
Yeah.
I mean, because even with the white girl witch hunt, like they had to die because she made them late. You know, they
They're like
made
the
her wait.
Bonner.
Right. So
But
she got died.
that was her one condition when she started fooling with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Her one condition off top.
And they would have survived. They would have survived
Violated
the
my
whole ordeal.
trust. And that now you know everything. You went out here and cleaned the blood up from the car, and now you know, and then took my phone. You gonna tell me what to do? Okay, I got something for
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah, she did.
Stand right there. Stand right there. Let me
Yeah,
see how this gas about to work.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because she was going to Bonnaroo, and that girl saved her from the cop following her because it was in where were they at? Where's Bonnaroo at?
I
I
don't
don't
know. It's somewhere.
Yeah, I know. And she was like, "Look,
Upstate New York, something.
yep, yep." People don't understand. She went to California for Taste, the third episode where we had the thing that when she infiltrates the party,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then she's back across country at Bonnaroo,
Mm-hmm.
and she meets Billie Eilish's character, Eva,
Yeah.
and
You
Billie
would have
Eilish
told me that
killed
was
that, bro.
Billie Eilish. I had
Oh,
no idea that was Billie Eilish.
man, she killed it. It was like my best episode. That scene when she put her under the spell and was snapping at her, it was like,
That was the
man,
best scene in the
Jordan Peele
series.
should be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 4 was
And
something.
that's when we get a little bit of backstory on Dre,
Mm.
how everything went down. When she said the first thing, I saw the milk. Go ahead,
Oh,
Steph.
I hate to interrupt, but I just wanted to say one quick thing before we leave 3. And that is the forbidden fruit reference. Because you know how she dissociates when she comes to food, and her biting into the forbidden fruit is kind because she was in her eating, right? You know, and she would have been fine if she didn't eat the fruit. When she eats the fruit, she disassociates and then assumes that becomes the flesh. And then, you know, and then she got kicked out of eating. So, all right, we can go back to 4.
Wow. Yeah, there's so many layers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. It's crazy.
Layers in this show talked about in class.
Too, because like you said, like any sane person be like, if that's your idol, that's somebody like, why the hell would you bite her?
Hey,
But
Layton said she didn't do that.
yeah, and what she said, she said
Cocaine's
she
a
did.
hell of a
Would
drug.
be yeah, okay. Cocaine's the hell of a drug.
So she discovers in episode 4, Running Scared, the car has been cleaned. She's in this female empowerment group. And there's a couple of baddies in this group. I ain't gonna front on y'all. There's a couple of baddies.
I'm all for spa day. When they did spa
They was popping.
yeah.
It was popping. Heard a lot of women got mad about Spa Day, but this is the kind of cult that she was leading. Like they built the house, they engineered this house, everything was there for a purpose.
Yeah, they was all natural. They was of the earth, and
Yeah, I want to be of the earth too. And everybody introduced themselves. They were all at ease and peace. Like all of them probably got there from a troubled way. It seemed that way. All of them had trouble past and they got there.
yeah, hippie halfway house.
So they notice their own. They see their own. And Centel called it the coven. He said it's coven.
Coven of witches, man. Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be a coven witch. I thought it was
Hypnotizing people. I'm surprised Ben Affleck didn't walk out. They hypnotizing people and
yeah. And so there's a lot.
I don't know what their agenda was. And just like, and even the way that they approached her and did all the stuff at the end, now they're gonna force her to stay. Like,
part. Them forcing her to stay was the hard part. That's what makes me say there's something else going on here.
But
Really.
see, but there's also here's the other question though, right? It's like, all right, so for me, I interpreted it as because she was getting chased by the cop, right? And then it took a white woman to kind of like save her, right? A little bit, save her. And then the white woman is like, because I saved you in this sense, you should come with me, and then I can protect you and show you the way, right? Like she already knew the way. She already knew what she wanted, where she wanted to go. She knew how she wanted to go about it. She had her path already set. But yet here comes this, and it could be the liberal white woman. It could be that thing and be like, no, this is the path. You come and you do this, and then you get hypnotized. And that's what the whole thing is. And then when you get hypnotized, you kind of give up who you are, tell your secrets and all of this other stuff. But to what end? That's the thing. But
they use it against you.
Right. And she did use it against her. She was like, you can't leave because we know everything about you. But what saved her was when they were at the campfire, she's like, y'all hear that? And they're like, no, we don't hear anything. And it's the concert music, or we think it's the concert music,
Yeah.
or it could be the spirit of Niger. It could be the true path of what, you say what you want about Beyonce. She is about uplifting Black women. And it could be the music and her saving her from this overabundance of this liberal-ish white woman kind of thing going on.
Black women in that room.
Right. So Niger, who is one of the two pillars of stability, saved her because she was about to be too far gone. She was going to be approach the point of no return.
And it was during the hike, right? Like she was
start eating right and all that stuff. Like it was like we were about to lose her. She was about to lose herself.
And that episode is very symbolic of Black women's journey through feminism.
Yes.
But here's the thing, though. But it's just like you said, we were about to lose her. But what we were about to lose, the psychotic side?
Yeah. No. That's why I'm saying it's a weird thing. It's a weird take, right? Like we were about to lose her.
She was psychotic for night.
Yeah, they were gonna steal her spirit and her soul. Even though her spirit and her soul is twisted and jacked up, they were still gonna steal it anyways. Because a lot of times that's kind of like what they do. They like bring you in, pretend like they're protecting you, still who you are, hypnotize you till you don't even recognize who you are anymore. And she almost forgot that she was a stone cold killer.
Well, and the thing to me too is I get wary of stuff like that too, because you get this, this Karen coven, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
folk. And now they strip this, even if it's the psycho part of her, they strip it away. But to me, it's like now they can choose when to weaponize it.
Yes.
So if someone threatens their little band, hell, they can they know that they got a stone cold killer. They can turn her loose, raise her up a little bit, and turn her loose and stuff. And then we'll talk her back down. We'll hypnotize her, and you did what had to be done. And
Yep, that's what they're doing. That's what the episode was all about. Yes. Even Glover talked about it. He wrote it. He said that episode was like how white women in their feminism, they stole feminism from Black women, which is completely different from what they had. It was the first gen feminism, and then now they've weaponized Black women against everybody. And at the end of the day, Black women are going to be left out there by themselves, wondering what happened.
Okay. Yeah.
No. It's cool. It's such a dope episode because that moment when she hears the music and the other white women, they couldn't hear it. They just couldn't hear. They're incapable of hearing it. They're not on that wavelength, in a weird, twisted kind of way. It's like the sirens calling you back home. Niger is calling you back home, even though you're a messed up individual, totally twisted.
That was her siren.
You're still being called home. It's weird. It's hard to. It's like, am I supposed to root for this? Like
we got to think about it. Every time she kills somebody, we were rooting for her. We were rooting for the killer who we knew it was killing for no apparent reason outside of their own vanity and sanity.
Here's the crazy thing, though. For every episode, I was not rooting for Dre at all until that episode. On that episode, I absolutely was rooting for her. when Billy got up on them tires, I was like, yes.
When she killed Khalid, I was like, yes, you killed the guy that made Marissa kill herself. When she killed the stripper, I was like, yeah, you killed the stripper who was only time I felt sorry is when she killed the tow truck driver, when she watched him get killed and left those strippers. But we were like, yes, you leave them damn bitches. Them bitches were using you anyway.
I gotta agree with you, man. I think that was the point where it was the dividing line was the tow truck guy. Because up until then, I'm with the first run, I think I'm watching Dexter. It's like he's this bad guy, but he kills other bad people. Right?
Yeah.
So you kind of root for Dexter. I was like, that's how I felt about her. But it was until the tow truck person, and you're like, wait a minute,
that dude was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He really was kind of innocent. Like you could kind of justify the other killings.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Producer guy. Let's get into that one. So girl by comes and the cell phone's cut off, and she gets the cell phone's cut off by Harris, Marissa's father. Dre goes, she goes right into T-Mobile, and that guy was like, nah, boo, nah, this is not happening. Nah, I'm not turning it back on. I think you need to leave my store.
Yeah, he was respectful too. That's the thing. That probably saved his life. If he was disrespectful and did it, it probably wouldn't have ended well for him.
Yeah, I can't do it for you. You had to get somebody to do this. I'm not gonna reactivate this for you. She was freaking out. We saw her breaking. We saw the psychotic break there. Then she got into the house. She went to this beautiful house. We had no idea it was Marissa's house. She snuck up in this house, like, oh my God, this girl has a different car every episode. And so she's gonna kill 4 people here. And then you go in and she knows her way around the house. And that's when we know that she knows where she's at. And
it also struck me. I was like, how she got this many cars? Don't none of them got low jack or don't none of them got.
She always had a new whip. Every episode she had a new whip.
And she got back from Bonnaroo, and now she's back in Houston. And she's repping Houston hard throughout the whole entire show.
Oh yeah,
repping Houston hard.
Which
He gets there.
I know exactly what that's saying.
The father comes in. He said something.
That's right. We got serial killers down here. Yeah.
But the father says something very interesting when they get home, when him and his wife get home. We realize that this is the house they grew up in. She goes into Marissa's room, looks around. And the father says, you left the lights on, honey. She said, I did what? He said, you left the lights on. And she didn't say anything else. And then she's in the kitchen drinking a coffee. And then she comes in with the gun. But the first thing she says is, you're here to finish the job.
Here to finish the job.
They knew.
They knew she was in the house.
And they knew the type of person she was too.
Yeah, because when the father, when he came back down the stairs with the chopper, like, hey, he was ready.
The street sweeper, and said, hey, let me tell you something. I will shoot you dead here and go have my beer. We're in Texas.
He said, we in Texas.
Go finish my beer. And he had some of the best lines.
Yeah, Leon, we ain't seen Leon. I ain't seen Leon since Above the Rim. But but he showed up though. He said something that was poignant though too, because when he told the story, he said, listen, he said, I lost my job. My mama was sick. We was flat broke. And he said,
I lost my son.
See, I lost my son. That's what it was. And they never explained how.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, the devil showed up when you at your highest, but what they don't tell you is when you're at your lowest, he's already there. And then he said,